All right, what's up, everybody? I was going to do a recap today. Wasn't really planning on it, but given the market move today, I figured I'd go over some of my trades as well as what I did with some of my positions that I carried through the weekend. So obviously we had big gap up in the markets. Positive headlines with China from the negotiations over the weekend, and we got some huge gaps up. I think Qs and SPYs are up like 4% or something crazy, and so I came, I had over the weekend, I had some exposure to NVDA, both options and stock, as well as some Amazon. And I also had some Oklo puts too, or calls that I'll go over as well. But, um, you know, when I woke up this morning and came and checked the markets, I sold some NVIDIA stock right away. But obviously I can't trade options in the pre-market. So what I was doing was hedging around the TQs. I also took some hedges on Amazon to start the morning, just to kind of protect my positions. If the markets are going to roll over, this will lock in some profits on the short side and neutralize my options position. So that's what I did. What I started off with this morning, I started with a little hedge on the TQs. Cashed in into VWAP, and then once we started catching another bid, I took it off as it was moving against me, and instead moved into some Amazon hedges. I had a little bit more exposure there, and just wanted to make sure I was covering um, my calls with Amazon with some hedges in the stock. So I started a little hedge here, didn't and it reclaimed the pre-market high, so I cut it. And then we got another move here where I started the hedge. I think we were up. Amazon was up like, I don't know, 8 or 9%, and was just starting to get really extended. We're kind of away from VWAP. This isn't by any means like a parabolic move or anything. It was just a good area I thought to start a hedge to kind of look at protecting my position in case we weakened up into the open. We did end up getting a deeper pull in. I covered a little bit and then got some more off into VWAP, and then we got the opening imbalance that comes out at about 925, and Amazon popped up huge. I cut it as it was coming over pre-market highs because I didn't know how much this was going to squeeze up on the imbalance. And given how much we were up on the day, and then we get a strong imbalance move right before the open. Like I was saying Friday in the recap, so many times these will fail, and you'll get a flush back into VWAP or even further. And so once I saw this happening, and then we opened and it popped up and failed to hold over pre-market highs, I was really comfortable that sellers were going to take this lower. So I jumped in and took the ride back to VWAP where I started scaling out. In hindsight, I probably should have been adding through this lower bar or prior bar low here around 210, and then scaling out into VWAP, but it happened pretty quickly. It was pretty volatile at the open. So I just started taking profit as it moved in my favor. I didn't want to get a bad fill and ruin my cost basis, and then end up trading the position a little bit differently. So either way, it ended up working out and took some nice profit into VWAP. Once I saw we were holding lower, kind of back tested VWAP here, and then we started seeing some selling again. I reloaded up and added. I think I had about half a position. I reloaded to more than I had originally, and then caught a really nice leg lower here as the selling continued, and caught a good portion all the way down to the 205 area. And then once we started rebounding, I cut the position once we started reclaiming the 10-day for a really nice win and a great way to start the day. I also, at the morning, was really busy because I was trying to close some NVIDIA calls, Amazon calls, the Oklo calls. I was all trimming those at the open as well. So I did get a good portion of those off on this, and then caught the nice short leg lower on Amazon for a really good win. And then the next one, I jumped into some, let's see here. Okay, so this was, we had some small cap shorts. Small caps were super busy this morning. And KDLY had a huge run, went parabolic this morning. And I was actually trying to catch it. So if we look at it on the 1 minute, I was trying to catch it here through 10, but it was pretty thin and spready, and it just ripped higher through the 10 level and skipped my order. And in hindsight, obviously, I probably should have tried and chased it because it ended up running up to about 26 on this leg. And but I decided, I'll wait and see if this sets up for a parabolic. And I think I took, let me see what we got here. Yeah, I took a stab right here, which was I was taking on the 1 minute turn here, and then I was going to add through the 2 minute turn. Ended up getting stopped out, and then taking it here again on the 1 minute, and then I added through the 2 minute too, and then I believe I added through the 5 minute right here because it was very extended, right? And ended up catching a nice leg into the 10-day. We were still pretty heavy, so I re-added some. I think we were breaking below this 21 area, and it set up well, so I added back there and got another couple more points. Didn't quite make it all the way to VWAP. Uh, so I took some profits off in the 17s. I had orders layered out, through 16 down through the 15s through VWAP in case we got a quick flush. Didn't play out that way and ended up reclaiming the 10-day, so I cut my position. But it was just a really good win. I wasn't super big on this given how thin and whippy this name was, but did make some really good money on it in the end. So nice trade there early morning. And then the next one I think was CTMX, another small cap move. Not as big obviously as KDLY, but it really clean turn. We had some good price expansion, volume was coming in, got a clean turn to get short on, took some profit off into the 10-day. Also re-added to this one as it was breaking through that pivot low there, and same story, didn't get quite to VWAP, but was able to get some profit off into the twos. The two area was defended well. It kept getting rebidded. Every time it would flush below, it got rebid, and then it reclaimed the 10-day here, which is where I stopped out on the balance. So that was just a nice, easy cash flow trade there in the morning as well. This KDLY, I ended up trading it or taking a stab at it later in the day here after the open. We had these really weak opening drive. And then we kind of put in this low day break look here. We had the low day, tested it, couldn't break, bounced, and then we came and tested it again and then broke through. And I took a short on that, and it kind of just chopped around, ended up getting some profit off, and then it reclaimed it again. And I just was like, all right, maybe this isn't ready to go. So I cut the balance here for, a little win on this, but obviously we ended up getting a bigger move lower. I think that's where it's haven't gone any lower. Yeah, so we're just kind of consolidating now between 14 and like the 18 area. But I mean, if you look at the daily, it's a huge move. I mean, just a monster gap up, and then has faded off nicely throughout today. And there was a couple other big ones today too. There was BAOS. I missed this one. I was off the desk, but just a huge run and really nice clean turn. Right, you get this big leg. And then we're kind of getting this like consolidation move higher, like just smaller ranges, and then we get another leg and we get some price expansion with some volume coming in, and then we get a really clean turn, and this just craters. This is ideal resolution in a trade. I mean, just fall. I mean, we recovered more than 50% of the trade in like 2 or 3 candles, right? So I missed this one. I know a couple of guys did get this really nice trade, quick money. Love this stuff. This is my bread and butter. Trading, parabolic reversal. So bummed I missed this one. But it seems like small caps have really heated. Today was really busy, so I'm going to be, super vigilant in the mornings, watching the scanners and trying to see if we get any more really clean setups. I think there was another big one today, INHD. Just a crazy move. Look at this thing, big parabolic run. Not the cleanest price action, but if you were able to catch a turn up here, I mean, this thing didn't look back and gave up the entire move and is at low a day now. Just crazy moves, right? Like, look at this daily. That's insane. I think this one might even be a China name, but if you're able to get a low K and get a piece of that, that's a sick win. So that's really it for me today. I had those Oklo calls. More of a spec play. I wasn't a ton of size in these, but we got a nice gap up that I trimmed the majority of the position. They report earnings tomorrow after the close, and so I'll hold some calls through that. I have them for the end of May, so we'll see what happens if this wants to gap higher and run. If they don't, I'll still be up on the trade, and so I'll just manage it accordingly. But nice little win there. And then what else do we have? So yeah, NVDA, I had stock on this day. I bought stock. I trimmed some onto this gap, added back on this day some more as we were back testing this pivot. Obviously a huge gap up. I trimmed some this morning, and I'm going to hold about 3/4 of a position in my equity, and I still have a good amount of calls left that expire in January that I'll hold on to, see if we can get a bigger move on NVIDIA. And yeah, that's it right now for me. I mean, Q's, obviously we got the huge gap up, kind of sitting around just below high day now. And we'll see if this can hold. Honestly, I thought this was going to sell a bit harder, maybe back test this pivot here, and we're holding them pretty well. So it'll be interesting to see how this closes, and see if we can get some more continuation out of this leg. But we've come a long ways in the last couple of weeks, so I could see some more consolidation, something similar to this, maybe a deeper pull in. We'll just have to see how this plays out over the coming days. But either way, it was a really good morning. I felt like I traded Amazon really well, read that tape, coming into the open, and was able to make some really good money on that. So that's it for me today. We'll see what else happens into the close, see if I get any more positions. But I plan on doing a recap on either Thursday or Friday at the end of the week, and just letting you know how the rest of my week plays out. All right, I'll catch you guys later.